Hey everyone, welcome back to Salmon Art. I'm Salmon, and today we're continuing our Project Xeon cargo ship series. In this video, I'll be focusing on setting up the bones for the rigging process. So let's dive right on in and get our cargo ship ready for animation. So here I am in Maya, and I am ready to roll with this. I've got everything all grouped, and let's go into our outliner real quick. You can see I've got everything labeled. I've added this Xeon cargo ship, that's what the ZCS stands for, prefix, and everything just labeled, so if anything gets jostling around in a much bigger scene, the name convention just makes things easier to find, address any problems that may come up in errors, and it just makes life really easy. And the first thing I want to do is, once again, just select this main root group here, and I'm going to go to my custom shelf. Actually, I'll just do it this way. I've got modify, and I want to click freeze transformations. So everything's locked into 0. If I had anything that was not in 0 space, it definitely is right now. I'm going to go up here to edit, and I'm going to go here to delete all by type, and I'm going to delete history on this. And that'll fully clean that up. And then the final thing I want to do here is go up to Windows, Render Editors, Hypershade, and I may have a bunch of materials that I don't need anymore. So just to make sure we have everything just nice and optimized, I'm going to go here to edit and delete unused nodes. And you can see some of them disappeared. We don't need this anymore. Goodbye, my friend. And I'm going to click save. Boom, just like that. All right, so I've got it saved. Just beautiful. We are ready to start. I'm going to go ahead and change over here to display. In case you don't have that, some of this channel option tab right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click that. And I'm going to give a new layer a new name, cargo ship temp. And this is just going to be a temporary layer. And we'll just go ahead and save that. And I'm going to assign this entire ship to it. That way, in case I need to while I'm working on these bones, I can just quickly disable this on and off. So it's not going to be too much of a problem. Probably also going to change it into a reference. So now I can't click anything because I don't want to accidentally move anything or click anything. But you can see my wireframe. I can get everything all lined up. If I need to get more detailed, I can go over here to my outliner. But we'll just use this as it is. Now the first thing we're going to go to is my side view. I'm going to get a good feel for this ship. This was a nice fun project to work on. It was very blocky, very squared. So it was definitely a nice step away from my AGX that I'm still working on that project. I'm on the legs for that. And there's just so many curves. My brain needed something simple to work on for a little while. So I decided to make this unexpected project. But it'll be cool if I decide to do a video with it. Anyway, let's go over here to the modeling tab. I'm going to go here to rigging. And I got the default Maya rigging tab loaded right here so I can access my bones through there. If I need to access it through the menu, I can do that there. The first step is to create a new bone, which is going to be my root bone. And where is this going to go? I've got my ground right here. The landing gears are all down and on that. So I don't want to put my bone on the flat ground space because this is not going to allow it to bank correctly. This looks like kind of the middle of the ship, which I've got this line going right through here. So I think I'm actually going to drop it right here in the middle of this box, which is a good place to put it. We'll hit enter. I only want one bone for now. We'll increase that bone size to 4. And let's see here. What are we going to name this? Xeon cargo ship root. Actually, we're going to do that naming convention last, just for the speed of things. Cargo. And I'm going to put that all caps. That way I can identify, boom, that's the root joint, and there's nothing else crazy going on with that. So I should have this in, let's see here, check the top view. It is perfectly straight, which is to be expected, zeroed out, 0 space on the x-axis. But we want to make sure we've got this in a good spot. And that actually looks like it's pretty good. So if I rotate this joint, it's going to rotate. The center of gravity is just going to be right back here. And I actually like that. I think we're going to go with that just for now. Then if I rotate it along this axis, it's going to rotate pretty well as well along the Z. Beautiful. Hey, let's just go with it, guys. Don't argue these kind of things. It's always a good thing when things like that happen. Now, this is a pretty simple project. If you didn't have any other animations and stuff like that, you could just pilot the ship completely by this little joint here. But since I've got some landing gears I got to make some joints for, and a couple of joints for the guns, and then the real fun part is these boxes that decide to open up. We're going to have our hands full with that. So let's get started on that. I'm going to go here and deselect that joint. And this is how I kind of work. Some people just decide to, just keep checking their joints out as they go and then parent them, or it auto parents. I like to parent them all last. That way I can quickly modify things and I can put joints where I need them to go to. So I'll just put this little guy right here. And I'll probably increase this to maybe 2. That's, yeah, something so I could see it, maybe 1.5. Because I don't want it to be too big where I can't get it loaded into the barrel and stuff like that. Let's knock the landing gears out. That's going to make things the easiest. Always best to get the easy parts done first. We'll line this up right here. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. I do want it to be kind of centered to it, though. Does that look pretty decent? Yeah, it's going to go straight down there. Good enough. We'll put this at the very top, maybe actually right down here, because I'm going to want to make some controllers for that. They're going to be snapped to this joint, and I want to be able to see them. If I put it up in the landing gear well here, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and snap into my front view now. And I have no idea which gear is which. I know this little one that I cheaped out on is the rear gear, so it's definitely not that one. I have a feeling it's this middle guy right here. So I'll go ahead and snap that to that right there. I can always go back into my perspective view and see if I'm spot on with that. And I am, except for I'm on the wrong side. So we'll go ahead and change this to positive. I'm going to be working on the left side first for this. There we go. So that's going to control that. And wow, what did I do here? So I've got multiple front views. So I'm going to duplicate that. And we're going to go back here to our rear landing gear. Probably should have named that, but I haven't decided what I'm going to name these just yet, so we'll hold off on that just for now. And then we'll snap this right here to this. And that looks like it's pretty centered. Beautiful. And then I'm going to duplicate this once more, but if I duplicate it, it's going to shoot it clear on the other side because it's on Smart Duplicate. And this one's a weird landing gear because it doesn't get to go straight up and down. It actually gets to get sucked in at an angle, so that's going to be kind of interesting. For this one, I'm actually, I am going to want this down here just because it has that weird angle, and when I put the controller in, it'll just make life easier to locate that and to get it to go in correctly. All right, so I don't have any other things going on. We can go ahead and name these joints now. Let's see here. This is going to be our 4-gear joint. And we're going to go ahead and make life easy and just copy that. So then we can put mid-gear joint and paste the naming convention in there. And then rear gear joint. Just like that. And I'm going to save. All right, now, what do we got next here on this crazy monster? I'll worry about those boxes last. I don't have anything going on with that. Guess we'll just work on this gun right here. So for this, I'm going to actually want to isolate this view here. So I got to turn off my reference on my layer. And let's see here. We've got a couple of things going on in here. There's the riser, and then we've got the gun. That doesn't look like I selected the gun. What did I select? Oh, that's one of those little... Oh, yeah, we got to do those as well. those little jaw clamps. So I'll just select this. And that looks like we've got everything selected now. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do for this, let's go ahead and isolate this view. We're going to pop in so we can actually see what we've got going on here. And I will select my joint right here, the tool. And I want to put this down. We'll just put it here for now. And 1.5. So what we're going to do is V key. Go ahead and snap this to the geometry here, just like that. So that bone is actually going to control this riser. This riser moves up and down, just like that. So that's pretty cool. We'll select this joint again. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate. And now I'm going to snap it to this little rotator that I really cheaped out on. There we go. I always like to leave my rotators because I could have deleted this, the cap, but it just makes it really easy because this, now I can just make sure it's rotating around the correct axis that I need it to be on, just like I want. It's always good to leave some of that geometry to make it easy for animators. And then this last one is going to be the barrel. And these barrels thankfully don't rotate up and downward. It actually rotates on the last joint. So this is going to make life pretty easy for this as well. And we'll leave it out here. And the only reason I'm creating this is because this gets rotated or sucked right back into the cannon. I think that's how I'm going to animate it. I'm not sure if it actually does that. I know the main cannon does because it fits inside of a box. So I figured, well, you know what? Might as well do the same thing with this guy. I had thought about how I modeled this is to put some hinges here, to have this thing rotate up, and then to raise the gun. And then the gun has to rotate 90 degrees in order for this thing to go back down. And I was like, man, if you're in battle, that's a lot of steps going on. It'd just be easier to retract, pop the whole gun right up, and then just go straight to action instead of having to go through all these different steps. And then you also have to risk that you could have some kind of a mechanical failure. And what if your hatch is stuck in place and you're like, well, yep, we're probably all going to die. So because I can't use this main gun or this secondary gun, and it's just looking pretty ugly. So I decided I'm going to animate it this way. This might be the best option we have. So let's go ahead and turn this back on to our reference here. And I'm actually going to hide that for now. And we're going to name these. And let's see here. Go to joint. Let's see here. For gun riser. I'm actually going to, just in case there's an error, we'll be able to know it's the riser rather than digging through the for and all that stuff. And I'm going to just name this joint. And this one's going to be for gun rot. I feel like I hit another key, but I guess I didn't. And then we will go here to this other one. For gun barrel retract joint. And you know, 10 years from now, if you're looking at this and you're like, bar ret, I wonder what the heck that meant. Hopefully I remember that it remains bar retract, but all you got to do is kind of hunt it down. You'll be able to figure that one out. So this can all stay in the center. We don't need to have a right or left side to this, thankfully, and the barrels are stationary, so we don't need to rotate those around either. So we've got our 4 gun all rigged out. Now we want to work on this little claw. I actually probably should hit the save button, Control S. It's been a little while. And I am selecting my joint tool right here. And we're going to place this. Doesn't really matter where we're going to place this. Just going to place it right there and then vert snap it to the cylinder. And I probably should Oh yeah, I can't because I've got the reference mode on, so we'll just have to grab that, grab one of these, and grab one of these. Now there's 4 of these all throughout the thing. There's a good chance I didn't grab the correct ones, but it doesn't matter. We're only working on our side view for now. I'll change that back to reference. And we're going to go ahead and isolate this view. Beautiful. So this controls it in this direction. I'm going to Control D. And you guessed it, we're going to snap it to these little pivots right here. Deselect it and Control Z to reselect it so it doesn't smart duplicate. And there we go. That's pretty much all set up right there. The only thing we got to do now is get it all lined up. So the naming convention on this is going to be a little bit different. So we've got to do L for left. We'll do the first one, will be a right. Retract. But we need to figure out what this thing is called. We'll just call it a clamp. Some kind of weird clamp that grips on and opens up like one. So we'll just call it a clamp underscore retract joint. And I'm going to go ahead and Control C. There we go. So we've got the top one. Clamp top. JNT. Which I can't even tell with my mouse right there. There we go. It didn't even look like a J at first. And then this little crazy guy down here. Bottom. JNT. Just like that. So this is going to be the right side. And we're going to get this all lined up now. So I'm going to go ahead and snap into my top view. And undo my isolate. And zoom in a bit here. And you can see we've got the straight line right here. So all I'm going to do now is just vert snap that to it. And then we're going to go ahead and Shift D to duplicate. And I'm going to vert snap it to the other claw mechanism right here. And beautiful. That looks good. I like that. So now we've got these little claws. So you can actually see what we've got going on here. Let's frame this to that. And these little guys open up and grip onto something. You see they got some little grippers there. That's pretty cool. But it's not what we need right now. So I got this still selected over here. I'm going to go up here to modify. And we're going to search and replace parameter. For this, we want to look for right. And we're going to rename it to left. And then I'm going to replace that with left. Now I got to manually go in here. I probably could have just done, what did I add a 0 for? Done it without the same way we did this before, but by the time I type everything in, we could have it done just like that right now. So we're just going to go with that. Beautiful. I don't even know why I had that turned on, so we'll turn that off. We'll go ahead and save it again. We're moving right along, guys. And let's see here, how are our joints looking? This is looking kind of cool. We don't need to make those any bigger. What's next? I feel like there's something else crazy that we have to do before we start tackling these boxes, which is just not going to be too fun. But it is what it is. I was looking at these little claws thinking there's something else I've got to work on, but all right, let's work on this box over here. Let's go ahead and snap back into our side view, which looks like I decided to do away with my side view again for the top view. We'll slam the key down there and do this. So we've got the joint for that. Yeah. This thing, I may go over this. This is like the loading ramp where you actually board this cargo ship. That's stationary for now in this model. I didn't want to get too crazy detailed with this because I've got a bunch of other projects going on and I don't even know how often I'm going to use this thing. So, but it's pretty cool. And It can quickly be converted too. That's another neat thing about this. If I ever wanted to do like a 3D print job on this little model, it'd be kind of cool. I can convert this in with a bunch of booleans and get that going. But that doesn't look like it's actually... I know it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's probably just a weird offset. Okay, we came here for this side loading door. So let's go ahead and click the joint tool and add another joint, hit the enter key, and for this, probably 1.5. Ooh, 1.5 for that. And getting this to line up is going to be a little bit interesting. I don't even know if I modeled out some levers for this, did I? Oh, yeah, I did, but I'm looking at the wrong box. So it's a good thing we did that, guys, because I had no idea what I was looking at. There we go. Now it's making sense. I was like, man, did I even model out hinges? I know I got kind of lazy with this, but I didn't think I was that lazy. So there we go. We've got this modeled out. We only need to do this for one. I'm actually going to vert snap this to the center of the door. And that's, of course, it's going to operate the whole door, which is going to control those two hinges right there. So the next thing I want to do is go, oh, this is how I shoot myself in the foot every time. Let's go ahead and move over here to the side view. And now we'll just zoom in and vert snap that over to our rotator hinge, just like that. Beautiful. And that's going to control this door opening. So we'll do left, cargo door, JNT. And we've got that all set up. So there's cargo door number 1 all set up. We'll worry about these panels here in just a little bit. All that might actually be, since we're all working in this same spot, you know what? Let's knock that out real fast. Okay. Let's get rid of this because we want to select these. And then we just want to, I'm actually going to duplicate this joint and select this again and do that. So you're probably wondering, what in the world are these little boxes? They're actually alpha channels for the, I don't even know what you call them. You always see them. It's kind of like a navigational aid when you're bringing something in or taking off. I can actually turn it on. If you guys watch the series, you'll know now what they are. They light up. It's like a laser guidance beam that shoots out. And definitely need those, but we can't have them all the way out all the time while the ship's flying around, so that's what we've got this for here. We're going to go ahead and try and select that joint again. For some reason, it was being a little bit stubborn. And oh yeah, I'm working on all these different windows. It's like, didn't I just disable that? I did, but it's back. And let's just get rid of it again. Okay. Now that looks a lot better. We're going to vert snap this to this plane here. And there we go with vert snap number 1. And guide laser. All right, this gets where it gets weird. We're gonna rename that to joint after that, but I want joint to always be at the very end. So I'm gonna duplicate this and just vert snap that to that, and it should be easy going there. So now I've got everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can go here and shift select JNT, copy that, and just go ahead and paste that in to all these. Now I'm sure there's a quicker way to do this. I know I used to have a mail strip that would do this. You can add prefixes in with Maya, but it doesn't allow you to add the other way around, unfortunately. So this racked my brain for a little while, and this is how I'm going to do this. It's just going to be like kind of like a daisy chain. This is going to connect in, and it's going to be driven by a set-driven key. So all these are going to get stacked onto each other, and they're going to be hidden inside the ship. And then as I decide to, I'm going to set it up as a set-driven key that's just going to pop these out. Boom, 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 boom. And then we'll have ourselves this nice leading line. So I've got everything left side. Let's go ahead and hit Control. Save, guys. We are almost probably halfway done. I don't know. This thing's going to be crazy. Okay. Now this is something that I really need to make a decision on. Do I have that still up? Okay, I did. We did something smart for once. Where I could have this as a separate... See, I've grouped all these boxes together, but I can still animate it even with some set weights I can use for it. Because when the gun opens up, this box isn't going to be there. Excuse me. This box is going to be peace out. It gets released from its holding, and they kind of need that in order to operate the gun. As you can see, the gun level, it's just gonna waste that box. So this cargo box is just a decoy. And I've thought, well, you know what? I can use a constraint, detach this, but I've already got a part of the ship, and that probably would have been the best, most efficient way to do that. But then, I don't know, we may still go back to that. This is one of those things we're going to decide on later on, how we're going to actually animate this and make this thing work. We're going to move this out over here. So it's kind of in the middle of the box. I don't think I created a center point for it. Good enough, though. Actually, I kind of do want this to be in the center, just in case we do animate it and we set up some kind of dynamic thing where it just gets kind of spins around. So we want it to be somewhat centered. Doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but we want it to be centered enough. That looks like it's pretty good. My box is just really kind of wonky over here. All right, guys. For something like this, what we can do is duplicate it. And I'm going to unparent that because we're going to wind up deleting that. And I'm going to go ahead and select that. Isolate this. I'm just going to make sure I got this set up just correctly here. I'm actually not going to be able to do that either. No, I should be able to do it from the bottom. I don't think I added the details on the bottom. It's one of those rare times where laziness pays off, I think. So let's go ahead and delete that. Let's do... Woo! Didn't want to delete my joint. We'll bring that back. I want to delete that vertice right there and that vertice right there. And the best way to do this is to go to your split edge tool, multiple edges. I only want one. And that's going to line it up perfectly centered right there. We can go back into our top view now and close this out. You can see I'm not centered at all in that. But it was pretty close. But you'll be able to tell when this thing, if it's spinning, like I said, in space because you just released it, you'll be able to know. It's going to look kind of off-center. Maybe we should do the exact same thing with the bottom as well. So let's go ahead back down here to our bottom. And we've already got that probably set up. That's probably the center. But let's just double check our work here. And we'll go back to our tool here. We've already got it set to the... Oh boy, what's going on? Is there a vertex still? There is. Thought we deleted those. That's weird. Okay. Now that tool will work. So we can click anywhere here and it's going to snap it right to the center. Pretty handy for that. And look at that. We are not centered on that one either. So what we'll do now is just go ahead and... Maybe we were. Oh, nope, that's the one that we moved in. Like, what am I looking at as soon as I let go? So now we're perfectly centered with that. And there's no way I'm going to be able to get that from the front view, is there? So this one, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wing. I mean, maybe there's a way. Because this thing is not even centered that well, but I know this part kind of is. Yeah, we'll just move it right in the center there. Okay. That will work. So now we can take this shape that we have here, that's hopefully not referenced in the main thing. You served your purpose, my friend. You're gone. So we'll name this Oops. Yeah, L for cargo joint. And I still have no idea what I'm doing with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, though, because there's multiple ways to do it. Let's go ahead and hit Control S to save that. And we're ready to start working on the main gun. So this one has this retractable, as I mentioned. Otherwise, there's no way it would be able to fit in here. And I figured, well, maybe it would move down, and then you could raise this up, but then there was no way for that to happen either. This is the only thing that makes sense. A lot of stuff in Gundam just doesn't make sense, especially in this older material. You just design it, make it look cool, and hope for the best. And that's kind of how this thing is. There's really no scene where this gun raises up and all these things fold down, and you have to have something fully functional and working. I just noticed this box back here. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. And before I work on that gun, I'm just yapping away on this, guys. We're just going to go ahead and duplicate that joint because this is another one that needs to go away. And for this one, this is going to be a lot easier to set up because I don't have that weird crossbar going on, which I don't even think I added the, got rid of the n-gons on that. I'll have to do that later on too. Let's select our joint. Let's go ahead and isolate the view once again. We'll just go here. And you're not going to let me do that. There's something weird going on with this model. Oh, nope, I'm not going to be able to do that because these little things. Okay. What I can do though, let's take this poly split tool. And nope, that's not going to work either. We're just going to wing this one, guys. We're just going to wing this one. Right about there, and right about there, and then should be 0 space because we don't need, it's only one box for that. Go ahead and delete that guy that we didn't even need. That was kind of a waste of time, unfortunately, but it's cool. All right, let me see here. Unisolate, so we've got a joint for that cargo box, joint for the other cargo box. Let's go back to my rigging tab and create my joint over here. And just place it right here. We'll make this joint 1.5. Let's go ahead and snap this to this pivot axis right here. Like I said, guys, these things are invaluable when you're modeling. Always leave them behind. It's just an epic lifesaver. We'll go ahead and... Okay. Had to think there for a minute. There's always so much going on. We do need an extra joint. So I'm going to duplicate this joint, and then we'll rotate this one, or move it right about. Doesn't have to be perfect. Although I'm never going to be able to find the controller for that. But it's all going to be set-driven keys, so it really doesn't matter, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare to find. I could have just controlled everything from this one base. But, no, I do need that separate. Okay. So the gun joints, I think we've got them all down. We'll give them a proper naming. Main gun base. Actually, let's move our mouse so we can see what we're typing here. Base, joint. And this one here should be our main barrel. Main gun bar joint, and that's going to allow this thing to be retracted inward. And then main gun rot. J and T. Just like that. So now we've got our 3. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and Control S or hit up here to save. It's been a little while. I probably should do an incremental save. I haven't done that in a while. We'll probably do that in just a moment. All right. Well, that's a bit of a bum deal. I just happened to look down and see that the microphone died out, unfortunately. So I did lose a bit of material, but we're right here, and this is where we're going to resume. I've got all my bone joints all set up. Everything's all been added. Basically, what I did here is added in the top. Oops, that's actually to the turret. The joints for the crate that opens up the door. I tell you. But anyway, that probably saved you guys some time of watching some repetitive stuff. But it is what it is. This video was supposed to be about, oh man, an hour. Well, if I keep yapping, it'll definitely be an hour. So let's continue on where we were at. All we got to do now is just join all these joints to their proper parent, and we'll be completed with that. One other thing I think I added in was I've got a couple of joints over here. This one's for my mirroring group, and at least I thought that was. Here's my centralized. So everything's going to be plugged into this. And yes, this is my mirror joint because it has the M on it. So I've got it left and it's mirrored. So everything that's going to be mirrored actually gets plugged into this. Then it gets plugged into this. And this is a little bit of a redundancy, but it's just going to help make things organized and clean, even though we're working with a couple other joints. And then, of course, I've got that landing joint right here that we're going to be operating from, too. It's just kind of a visualize aid. We may use it to help with the landing gear where it actually goes, but that'll all be set driven keys, so we shouldn't need to worry too much about that. Let's just go ahead and start merging these together. So I've got here my barrel that gets plugged into the cannon body. It's plugged into that, and I'm just clicking these joints and hitting the P key to parent. Excuse me. And then we'll just select these two little claw guys, add them to the base, add that to the main root, and whoops, almost got carried away. Sometimes it's easy to do that, and you don't want to do that. That would be bad. So I've got here the landing gear joint, got here the cannon joint, and this is kind of weird to look at right now. And I think this is the joint we want to plug it into. Yes, that is the central joint. So it helps to kind of set your joints as a different size. The bigger the joint, the more important it is. So you can tell that was an important joint, and that's where a lot of this is going to be getting plugged into. Here's my mirror joint, so I can plug that into that. Here's that little box joint that I'm not sure what we're doing with those two guys, but we're just going to plug you guys into there for now. We'll figure something out. I don't know about that. And then we'll go ahead and parent that to that, parent that to that, parent that to that, parent that to that, parent that to that. And we should have a macro for this. And you guessed it, we're going to parent that to not that. Because we've got this little joint right here that we need to get rid of. And I'm pretty sure this is the joint we want. Laser guidance, yep. So now we'll parent that to that. Beautiful. So this is part of the opening door for the hinge on that one cargo door. I didn't realize that they're so close together. I usually don't like my joints this close because, as you can see, it's easy to select the wrong one or mistake the wrong one. And it would be nice to have it a little bit offset like this. I could do that, but for the sake of cleanness, I'm just going to keep it like that. So I'm going to select both of these two, and I'm actually going to attach that to my mirror joint right here. Cargo mirror. We've got these two landing gear joints that'll get plugged right into there. And then we've got this hot mess going on here. What is what? Well, I know this is the top of my box crate, so that gets parented to that. And I think the rest of this all just gets parented to the main joint, except for I've got my cannon stuff that I've got. So I'll parent that to that. So now I've got my two. Yep, there we go. And that just gets parented to the central joint. This little straggler here, unfortunately, I know I could do it. I could parent him to the main, but since he is a left joint, he's going to be off in his own little world right over here. I think he's a little bit sad he's not with his friends, but I'm sure he'll be happy there in no time. So now for this mirror joint, all we got to do now is just combine that to that. So now it's looking like some really crazy looking thing. And then we've got our central joint right here selected. We've only got a couple more to go, guys. We're in the home stretch. Our landing joint right here, we're just going to go ahead and parent that to that. Beautiful. And finally, we're going to select our main star of the show, the root joint right here, and we're just going to parent it to that. So now I've got everything, and we rotate everything. It works accordingly. We have nothing hanging behind. Nothing's chilling in the bushes, just not doing anything. Everything has its proper working order. So now what we can do is we can go here and select this mirror joint. I can go up here to my skeleton tool and mirror joint, go to the options tab. And by default, you're probably going to be in the X and Y. For this particular project, I need the Y and Z. So I'll just hit the mirror key. Oh, and this is why it's important to do that naming convention. I got my left is going to be replaced with an R. So anything in this chain, it's going to come out as an R. So let's go ahead and hit mirror. Now we've got a mirrored copy. Beautiful, just as to be expected. And if we select one of these bones, look at that. It's got R instead of an L. It's got an R. And everything looks like it is correct. So then when we go to our root joint and we go ahead and mirror or rotate, everything looks to be functioning correctly, just as to be expected. Just beautiful. So there we've got our mesh back. We can disable that again. We really don't need that since that's kind of distracting. And there we go. That is just beautiful. Don't forget to save. Well, that's always important. All right, my friends. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial on setting up bones and rigging process helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Art for more tutorials and updates on Project Xeon cargo ship series. And I've got many other series like my Project White Base, and I'm currently working on my Project AGX Jabera Tetra. Alright, leave a comment below with any suggestions or questions for future videos. Until next time, happy animating, my friends.